Welcome back to Small Caps. My name's Kerry Stevenson. Today, I'm bringing you back Nova Minerals. Now, since we last spoke with Nova Minerals, they had a maiden resource of 2.5 million ounces. Then they had an interim resource. I'm going to let Christopher tell you about this, but they had an interim resource of 3.3 million ounces. And this is against their project in Alaska, Korbel. Now, there's been some exciting news, which Christopher's going to share with us today. This thing it's the gift that keeps on giving. Christopher Gerteisen, great to see you all the way up there in Alaska. You have been a busy man.
Oh, yeah, Kerry. Great to be with you again. And it couldn't be more timely for this interview. Hot off the presses, just today, we dropped the latest resource upgrade, 4.7 million ounces. And so, well, you alluded to it. We've gone in a year and a half since the maiden resource. We've increased this resource by over 2 million ounces. And since the interim resource, which was just only 6 months ago, we've increased the resource by over 1 million ounces. And so this is another step. We're on the path on the road to 10 million ounces here at the Korbel deposit alone, right? So we're making very big strides in that, and the resource reflects that. Since the interim resource was released, what we're talking about is another 34% increase in metal, so in gold, and a 51% increase in tonnage. Remember, tons are the game in these style of deposits. Volume is king, and so we're currently at over 500 million tons of resource. Now, why that's significant, Kerry, is to put this in context. Is the overall grade of our deposit of the global resource on a scale, and the reason we really look at these at these lower cutoffs with these style of deposits, in this neighborhood with these intrusive related gold systems, these are mined at 0.1 and 0.15 grams per ton cutoff. And so that's similar to our peers. That's what we look up because it's very profitable at those cutoffs. And but what we've had here recently is, if you remember, there was a recent news release for ore sorting. Ore sorting technology's come such a long way, and it works exceptionally well at with our style of mineralization here at Korbel. Our deposit is the mineralization consists of sheeted quartz veins that are very discrete, very distinct mineralogy. And so when you put this through the ore sorter, it just separates this. It's very amenable to separation. And so what we found from the news release is, when we had our test sample of 0.6 gram material, on the first pass through the ore sorter, we were able to upgrade that 10 times to 6 grams per ton. And now, because the veins are so discrete.
Christopher, sorry to interrupt you. First of all, you said this type of deposit is very amenable to this ore sorting. You mentioned technology. Can we just unpack that a little bit so that our listeners and myself can understand it a little bit better? What you're saying is that you're using a new type of ore sorter to create the ability to throw through a lot of dirt and increase the grade. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Right. So actually, the technology, this specific technology, which is the XRT, X-ray transmission, this laser technology, what it's able to identify is, because the mineralogy of the veins is quartz and arsenopyrite, the gold associated with that these lasers are able to pick this up very easily. It's just, when you look at the images that we've taken when it goes through the ore sorter, the vein material where the gold is just lights up like a Christmas tree. And so we know, when we selectively sample these veins, these are bonanza grade veins, several ounces per ton, many ounces per ton. And so because the ore sorter is able to differentiate those so easy, it just accepts those so easy. And so the accepted portion of the material is just, like I said, 10 times in our test work in that first pass. So the technology has been around for a long time, especially in other industries, food and other soft rock mining, potash and these things, but it hasn't been utilized a lot in gold, at least not openly. It's some of the IP that certain operations use, but they haven't, they don't advertise it, but it's so effective. And I think something, and there's distinct characteristics of our deposit that just make it work so well. Like I was telling you before the interview, the quote from the technician at the lab was, "Well, this is insane. I've never seen gold sort this well." And so that's what we're finding. And so we're able to upgrade that. So our sample is at 0.6 grams per ton, and it came out 10 times the 6 gram per ton. Now we can, it doesn't, because it sorts so well, we can put much lower grade in there, and the accepted portion will still be 6 grams per ton. And it'll come down to operating cost of how many tons you shove through it. Because of course, if you put in 0.1 or 0.2 material, it'll still come out the accepted portion around 5 or 6 grams per ton. But now it comes down to how many tons do you process at an acceptable operating cost. And so that's very exciting. With this, what we're finding, we always envisioned ourselves as strictly in the past as a heap leach, mainly a heap leach, bulk mineable heap leach operation. And we're still bulk mineable, but with this ore sorting, it's very profitable to sort this lower grade material, get this extreme upgrade out of the ore sorters, and then put it through a milling circuit. We're also seeing, I don't want to release any numbers just yet because it's early days, but we're seeing very good gravity recovery, And so, and also we're looking at things like for the portion that doesn't get gravity recovered, a simple flotation flow sheet. And so it's really like a funnel. You're reducing the volume down from say 10 million tons at 0.3, for example. You put it through the ore sorter. Now you have 1 to 1.5 million tons at 5-6 grams per ton. Goes through the mill. You get a gravity sort. You get you go through flotation, and now you've concentrated it, very high grade, like you're talking about 10 to 15 grams per ton, and then you put it into a leach. And right, so that reduces your tailings, your energy costs, all of these, your reagent costs. And so that's the type of flow sheet that's starting to develop at Korbel anyway. And with recoveries of around the 90%, that 85 to 95% range, we haven't pinned it down yet. And so you can see why this is the path that's taken us to our test work. And so we're not strictly just a heap leach operation anymore. We're also looking at this milling circuit, and leach circuit. Now, of course, the what we call the rejected grades out of the ore sorter, that'll still go to stockpile and off to some kind of heap leach in the future as well. And so this is a major development. All of the numbers and how we're going to show how all this is profitable, we believe very profitable, is going to come out in our scoping study, which we intend to release here mid-2021. And so that scoping study will show our flow sheet and start to put some numbers and some economics around the Korbel operation, right?
Christopher, do you think that, I'm going to be pretty blunt, you're well cashed up, you've got 25 million in the bank. The market doesn't seem to be really, is it, they don't understand it, or is there a bit of skepticism with this? Because, the share price has, I'm not saying it's languishing, it's at 16 cents a share last time I checked. What do you think? Do you think the market fully understands the size of the deposit you've got, number one, and number two, the way you're using technology to keep the costs down and make this even more profitable?
What I would say about the share price. So, of course, we're a gold company, so our share price in some ways reflects the gold price. And so that's been languishing a bit as well. Now, in the last few months, there's been a bit of a stagnant movement in the bit of leveling out of the share price. We've been in the trenches, Kerry. We're working. I haven't been out there doing a lot of interviews. There hasn't been a lot of exciting news. We've just been doing the work now. Now it's time to get down there and do the work. And that's what we've been doing. And now we're coming out to show everyone what's been done. But in a general sense, yes, I believe, we believe that Nova is very undervalued, right? And so I think with this latest resource coming out, 4.7 million ounces now, people will start to appreciate that. You'll get some share price movement as well. Is overall, these style of deposits are relatively lower grade, say, compared to the Australian type Archean deposits. Now, the Australian market is starting to get it. Is starting to learn more about this. Remember, these are some of the most profitable mines in the world: Fort Knox, Dublin Gulch, with their large heap leach operation. But now I think with this ore sorting and with this flow sheet that we're developing, which I just described to you a moment ago, people will really get it. And I think when the scoping study comes out and we show how profitable this can be, there will be a major re-rate coming. So I think you'll see a re-rate now with this latest resource upgrade. And then when the scoping study comes out, that'll be the big re-rate. Now, that's one reason why Nova is exciting in the short term. In the longer term, remember, we're in Alaska. This is one of the top 5 mining jurisdictions in the world consistently when various outfits do these rating systems. In addition, we're not just in Alaska. Remember, our tenure is on state land. So we're already finding, now that we're progressing with our environmental baselines and getting an idea what's required for our permitting, being on state land, we don't deal with federal permitting issues, and we're not on native claim land either. So very streamlined process, which is another bonus. The other thing I would say is that, remember, there's heaps of upside at Korbel. What we're talking about is the Korbel Main deposit, right? So Korbel Main, in Korbel Valley alone, in that area, that system, that one deposit only represents 2% of our total land area. But Korbel Main, 4.7 million ounces now. In addition, in that valley, we still have blocks C, block D, the Isabella block to the north of Korbel Main. Also around those where we've done that geophysics around there is the Cathedral prospect, where we have several ounces per ton in rock chip. In fact, we believe that zone there, that Cathedral zone in the Korbel Valley, might actually be the core of this Korbel Valley system, because we're getting such good grades there. I have drill pads built there. We're going to start drilling that here in May, June this year. And so we'll have results there. And so this will be one more component to that 10 million ounce target that we're looking at Korbel Main as well. So that's Korbel. But remember, we have a 324 kilometer claim block out here. It's just huge, with 15 other known prospects at various stages of advancement. The next prospect the next cab off the rank is the RPM prospect, which sits 20 miles along mineralized strike to the south of Korbel. I say mineralized strike because this is where these other 15 other known prospects are littered. And in addition, when you fly over that area, you look down, not much vegetation. There's just color anomalies screaming back at you. Many of these are unnamed. And so we'll have the geologists go out this year and start to get down there, start to do the field work, mapping, do some sampling, and start to name some of these other prospects. So no shortage, like a kid in a candy store out there, really, Carrie. But RPM prospect, which is 20 miles to the south there, remember, we have 120 meters at over a gram in a historical drill hole there. We've also done sampling at the end of last year, which showed 9 to 10 ounces per ton in the rock chips. And we also identified an additional zone. So now we call it RPM and RPM South. We believe those connect at depth. So we'll be drilling, I have drill pads built there as well. And we'll be drilling up to 5,000 meters this year at RPM and come out with a maiden resource on RPM. I don't even want to speculate how many million ounces are potentially there, but this will add some serious depth to the Estelle Gold Project as a whole. Moving forward, we'll have 2 resource areas that we'll be working on, Korbel and RPM, and then all of those in between will start to progress in the years to come, because we're unlocking a district, Carrie. Everything will start at Korbel, but at the end of the day, we're creating this pipeline of projects across our exciting claim block there for, these things will run 20, 30, 40-year mine life.
Do you see them, Christopher? Do you see them eventually? Because I know it's early days, and as you said earlier, you've been in the trenches. Do you see this eventually all linking up into one major, super mine?
Well, Korbel, we're talking about rather large areas. So I think the system is the same, but with many of these systems, they're a long strike from each other. If you look at our claim block, it's quite elongated north-south, and so they're a long strike. But of course, it won't all be mineralized. There'll just be pockets of. It could be, Carrie. I hope so. But there'll be deposits along that same structural corridor there. It's kind of an intrusive corridor, really. And where you get the geological stars align there, the right structures, the right intrusive along that strike length is where that's where we have our prospects, and that's where we'll have mine. So you have a series of pits along that strike length. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about they're all on the surface, very low strip ratio. So all these type of characteristics of these deposits and our claims here feed into a very low cost structure, a very low strip ratio, very broad mineralization. So you're not just mining a little narrow vein and kind of trying to chase it around. It's just an entire intrusive. And now with the ore sorter, you can separate out those very bonanza grade veins and, really have a go at it. Let's just say.
Do you know, Krista, it's wonderful chatting to you because I can see since the last time I spoke to you, where you were very confident of what you had, but today it's like you're on fire. It's like you know what you've got, you know that it's going to be re-rated, you know that this is an enormous area. What I want to know is I want you to push it all down for us and say what can investors, what can they expect in the coming couple of months? And by the way, you'll be speaking at the Virtual Gold Conference at the end of April. So maybe there'll be more news then. But for the meantime, why should investors sit up and take notice of ASX code NVA right now, apart from the fact that you've got nearly 5 million ounces of gold?
4.7 million is just the beginning. Remember, this is the Korbel Main deposit alone. And so this thing remains wide open along strike and at depth. Also, in addition to all these other prospects, the upside is just huge. One of the reasons I'm so excited, Kerry, is because I'm starting to really ramp up. We've been operating all winter at a limited scale, but now I'm really starting to ramp up. I got 4 drill rigs this year on site already. And so we're ramping those up now. We'll be drilling. I have those 4 rigs there's 3 diamond rigs and 1 RC rig. 2 of the diamond rigs will start to infill and step out on the Korbel Main deposit. We know we got something big there. We're onto it. We got to infill it, continue to prove up these resources and step out along strike to continue to expand this Korbel Main zone. So 2 rigs will be focused on that. 1 rig will be hopping around to RPM, as I spoke about, as well as Cathedral in the Korbel Valley as well. And the RC rig will stay in the Korbel Valley and do scout drilling. And so we found this to be a very effective tool before we, bring in the more expensive and deeper diamond drill rigs. We'll do shallow scout drilling, put a grid pattern over the entire Korbel Valley and focusing on Block C, D, Isabella, all these areas, and then that'll generate the targets for the diamond rigs to follow up on that. And so that's what I'm really excited about because, and we were discussing, we want to try to come out with resources. I think it was very useful to come out one last October, this March. So we would like to come out with another resource later on this year to update. And that'll be another, at this rate, another large step on that road to 10 million, right?
Well, Christopher, I can see your excitement. I think it's a great time for Nova Minerals right now. I congratulate you because, as you said at the start of this interview, you've been out doing the work. You've been in the trenches and you've now delivered for everybody out there. And it's
not just me. I got a great team, Kerry. It's not just me.
I hope it's not just
me. We have a great team and I just couldn't appreciate them all more. They're just great.
It's good to hear, Christo. Well, we'll look forward to developments as they come along. Really appreciate you speaking with Small Caps today.
Thanks for having me today and look forward to the next update, Kerry.